JM Manion here at the NPC Photo Gym, and I'm here to do his first road to the Olympia with Jeff Hallenbeck. All right, if you didn't know, Jeff won this show right here, Legion Sports Fest this year. So
I did, and I'm honored that you were wearing that jacket today, JM, as we were just talking off camera. When I rode in the parking lot today and saw you in that jacket, it made my day.
yeah, and I know Chris will be happy too.
I think Chris will be happy to see it, yes.
So I'm just going to unzip it off. I'm leaving it on, Chris, don't worry. Jeff might take it off me, but anyways. So Jeff, how does it feel going to your first Olympia, man?
Surreal, exciting, grateful for this opportunity. Proud, proud is the word I kept using when I was lucky enough to be interviewed in Reno a few weeks back. And, I think that's the word that just keeps coming to mind is surreal and proud. I haven't given up on my season this year. I didn't start out the way I wanted to with the first show, but, we all know how loaded the IFBB is, and from show to show, these lineups are strong. And, Legion was my second pro show last year in 21. I made my debut the week prior at Kentucky, and then, went on to do Legion, and my girlfriend and I both looked at each other during and after that show, and we said, we have got to come back. This is a show that we've got to come back and do, and winning it was a surreal experience this year, that's for sure.
Okay, so interesting story you told me there about not only doing the Open, but doing the Masters. You have a story from the previous year.
Yes, so that's right. So last year, I was 35 at the time. We, like I said, it was my first year competing as a pro. We did the Kentucky, and then we did Legion. And I was chopping it up backstage with the guy on Sunday, while we were in prejudging for the Open. And he was the guy that had won the Masters from Friday night. And we're sitting there talking, and he's like, yeah, I just turned 30. I think he had just turned 35 that year. He said, so I was eligible. He said, and I think he won, $2,000, and I'm looking at him, and I said, well, I'm 35, and he said, why didn't you do it? And I said, I didn't even know it was an option. I thought Masters was 40 or above, and I just didn't think I was there yet in that age group, but I said, I'll be damned if I don't come back again. I will do it, So anyways, my girlfriend and I made that decision this year, and I was still reluctant to do it, but Jessica Reyes-Padilla, to be honest, that was the one I've gotten a chance to compete alongside her at some of these shows, and she told me, do it. Why would you not? Jump in, do the show, and if it's a show that Jessica Reyes-Padilla is going to enter as a Masters competitor, she's top 5, 6-figure Olympian in the world. Here I am, a rookie in the pro league, so I just wanted as much experience on a pro stage as I could get. So we jumped in it this year, and we actually jumped into 212 Masters as well. Just again, I knew a gentleman named Manion was going to be competing, and I wanted to stay next to a legit 212 pro to see how big the gap was. And it all worked out quite well. I was able to win the Masters and the Open Classic and place second next to Humana with 212, and I hope to be back to Legion in 23.
So you're defending the title.
I think I'm going to have to. I don't want to make a promise that I can't keep, but it does line up with the time of year that I want to compete. My plan was to potentially take 23 off and transition to the 212 division. But after making the Olympia this year, I just feel like, in my first full years as a pro, why would I move on after making the Olympia, and in the field of 60 guys this year, I don't know where I'm going to end up. None of us do. We know Bumstead is most likely, Bumstead and Buffett are going to be battling for the title, but the rest of us can fall anywhere. And I know myself, if I'm 30th or 40th or 20th or 15th, I'm going to want to climb that ladder. I'm not going to want to leave Classic here. I'm going to want to climb the ladder as high as I can, and then maybe, make that move. So anyways, the time of year that I'm going to be competing will be at the end of summer, fall of 23. So Legion will definitely be on my list of shows or competitions in 23.
And I have a sneaking feeling that Chris will be on the back to it too.
I would be flattered, to be honest. I told Chris when I got there this year, I said, I know I'm not the open guys, I'm not the main attraction. I said, but I was third here last year. It was, a week after my pro debut, which I was third ironically enough at. I said, and my goal was to come here and win it this year. I said, I didn't, you never know. There's a lot of good guys in the lineup. And after the show, I chatted with him a little bit, and he said, well, it worked out for you. He says, you got your wish, and I obviously I was very grateful, and he puts on a great show. And if he would be interested to have me back, then I can't turn that down. There's no way, no way.
All right, so if people don't know you, let's let them know where you turned pro, when.
Yeah, so I turned pro 3 years ago at the USA's in bodybuilding as a middleweight, 2019. My coach and I, we were. I was debating back and forth between classic physique and open bodybuilding. Now I believe you can cross over, but back then, 3 years ago, you couldn't cross over at any of these national shows that give pro cards for bodybuilders except North Americans. So, my first year, 2018, I did North Americans, I did classic and middleweight bodybuilding. So our plan was to try to win both of those in 2019, but we decided to do the USA's first, and I was planning on doing classic there until about 6 to 7 weeks out of the show. And my coach, Dominic Cardone, who is a pro bodybuilder and a bodybuilding fan, no knock on classic, but he posed a question to me and he said, Jeff, would you rather get your pro card in classic physique or open bodybuilding? And I knew exactly what and how he was asking me that question. And, my response was bodybuilding, especially at the USA's. And that's no disrespect to North Americans or nationals, but the USA's to me, is the show in the NPC. Nationals, it's their A and B, and North Americans is right there.
I always say that the NPC Nationals and NPC USA are the Olympia and Arnold of the NPC.
That's a great analogy. I love that. I'm going to borrow that from you. I like that. And I agree. You can't go wrong in either one of them. From year to year, the lineups are consistently stacked, right? They're the best of the best. And like I said, North Americans as well. But anyways, so we had to make a decision, and the weight limit was very different. My classic physique amateur limit was 190. And I would have had no problem making that limit, but we knew I was nowhere near like heavy, so we had to come down the middles. And to make that 76 and a quarter, there's a story behind that. I won't get into it right now unless you want me to, but that was, it was a chore to make that weight. We did, and it all paid off. We were ineligible to do North Americans after that because we won the USA's. And looking back, it's the best decision I could have made. Bodybuilding is where I wanted to be. In the pro ranks now, classic physique has been a perfect pit stop for me. And again, I don't mean any disrespect when I say that. It's just for me personally, 212 bodybuilding is where I'm headed. That's where my physique can reach its full potential. I feel like the weight cap in classic for me isn't going to allow me to develop some body parts to match my stronger body parts. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. So for my weight limit being 200 as a classic pro, from the 180 to 176, turning pro as a middleweight to here is a perfect stepping stone, I feel like, to the 212 division. So I told myself, I'm not even going to think about the 212 until I max out my classic weight limit, which we're pretty close to right now. We were 190 in each, so 2 pounds. But, we didn't have to skip any meals. We didn't have to do any crazy depletion or sauna or no diuretics, nothing like that. So I feel, there's a decision that's going to have to be made, but if you can't tell, I'm really leaning towards, coming back for classic for at least another year, going in an off season with my coach, and there's a couple pounds of tissue, and then really seeing what we can do, max out in the classic one.
Well, Chris Bump said his pro card and that's why.
I do. At the North Americans, I believe he was a heavyweight, and again, so that just brings me to my point. The classic pro ranks today, I'm pretty sure Marcus Perry, the guy that just won, what did he won the Hurricane. He just won Tim Gardner's show in Florida a few weeks back in October because I was going to do that show after Legion. which I didn't have to. I believe he turned pro as a super heavyweight bodybuilder. He's an Ohio guy like I am. So yes, the pro classic physique guys, I feel like half of us are bodybuilders. Like we turn pro in bodybuilding, and the weight limit where they're at. Some people argue that the weight limits need to be raised, or there shouldn't be a weight limit. I don't agree with that. Here I am, a guy that's pretty much maxed out my weight limit. I think they're perfect. I think the weight limits are exactly where they need to be. Again, you have super heavyweight open bodybuilders competing in classic physique in the pro ranks
And doing well.
winning shows. And then you have guys that like Terrence Ruffin. He turned pro. Forgive me, I don't remember exactly what weight class he was, but it was a smaller weight class. So I guess my point is that classic physique is a blend of bodybuilders, all the way from Manion, all the way up to super heavy, everywhere in between. And there are guys equally successful, whether they turn pro as a welter or a middle like myself, or a heavy or a super heavy like Chris Bumstead as a heavy. There are guys succeeding from every weight limit represented in the open bodybuilding in the NPC. So I think that's my favorite part, is the blend of sizes, shapes, different levels of muscularity, obviously. But I tell you what, man, for anyone who doesn't think classic physique is bodybuilding, they're mistaken, because it's exactly what it is to me. Yes, it's a slightly different criteria, but it's professional bodybuilding to me, 100%.
Yeah, I think that people get too hung up on the words.
I agree. I am not one to, make suggestions or critique, but in my not so humble opinion, it's classic bodybuilding. The name of the division is classic physique, and I think that word choice is too close to the men's. I'm going to get in trouble, but the men's bikini, right? The men's physique division is just that. It's not complete bodybuilding, in my opinion. Classic is. So to me, it's classic bodybuilding, and it just has that physique word at the end. So, that's that.
Listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Sure. And we all have them, and we all know what they're like. And again, I mean no disrespect. Some of my best friends are men's physique pros. It's just a joke. I have all the respect in the world for the men's physique division. Hell, there's half of those guys or a third of those guys that are bigger than us classic pros. I know for a fact, I know a few guys offhand.
Aaron Banks.
That you throw some trumps on them and they are going to do just fine. There are some guys that are above the classic limit. There are some physique guys out there that are above their classic weight limit if they were to switch divisions. So
I think Brandon can make the switch.
Henderson,
Yeah.
I think we'd love to see him in some trumps. Whether he has the interest or not, I don't know. And when you're on top, everyone wants everyone to make the switch. Everyone wants Bumstead in the open. Everybody wanted, and rest in peace, everyone wanted George DeBoll to go from classic to 212. And it's like, he was third in the world for 3 years in a row. Brian Ansley, another perfect example. Brian Ansley has been in the top 3 in the Olympia the last 5-6 years now in a row. And everyone, he's done. It's Bumstead's division. He needs to move to 212. When did third in the world not be good? Since when is that not good enough for me? You know what I mean? I just think he won it twice. Yeah, he won it twice. And, arguably, the third. He could have won a third in my opinion. Before Bumstead developed that back that we all saw in 2020. 2019 was this close between George, Brian, and Chris. I think you could have flipped a coin and picked any order of those top 3 guys and jumped them up, and you would have been wrong no matter how you did it.
I mean, if anybody, like you said about Chris back, says it's not a bodybuilding back.
Look at Chris Bumstead's back and dress my kids. Look at Brian Ainsley's back double bicep. Look at George Peterson's back double bicep. Terrence Ruffin. I think Terrence Ruffin arguably has the most complete back double bicep pose in the world. In the world. 212 open, physique, doesn't matter the division. Terrence Ruffin at 180, I think he's like 178, 180 pounds. Brian, same thing, they're the same weight limit, Those are bodybuilders. And again, Terrence Ruffin turned pro as a bodybuilder. Brian Ansley, I know for a fact, because I have been a huge Brian fan, it's no secret. Brian turned pro as a middleweight at the USA's, where I was fortunate enough to, and then became the first, he was not, Danny Hester was the first Then Brian,
who was a bodybuilder,
his whole career, and then Brian, took the reins, and now it's Bumstead. So that's 3 classic Olympian champions, all 3 bodybuilders. And I know classic physique's a newer division, but Brian and Bumstead were good enough to turn pro in bodybuilding then, and they're good enough to do it now. Obviously, same thing yesterday. So I love everything about this division, and I'm just happy and proud and grateful to be one of the 60, however many there are. I think 66 is the final tally on qualified classic Olympians this year. And it could be 160 for all that matter. Of course, there's some guys out there, people out there that are saying there's too many. It's supposed to be the Olympia. It's supposed to be exclusive.
Well, these guys all won contests.
And that's exactly my response to them. And all the people saying that aren't qualified. You know what I mean? Or they don't have any athletes in the show. So,
and listen, I don't want to hear, they want an easy contest. There are no easy contests because you don't know who's going to show up on any week.
Sure, I agree 100%. And I'm glad you said it before I did because that is the way, and I think Open has turned into this as well, but I can speak for Classic because I follow the show very closely. The shows in Europe, the shows in South America, the shows in Canada, the shows in the country.
And I think people are just looking within our borders, within the United States, maybe South America. They're not thinking about everything else that's going on, all the other contests around the world.
I agree. That's why I just referenced it. It's not just the 25 or 30 shows that are in the States. You look at these European lineups, you look at these South American lineups, there's some guys that aren't qualified that are incredible bodybuilders in this classic division. So worldwide, this division has taken off. It is extremely popular. It is extremely competitive. And my response to the people that think the numbers are too high, jump in and get a qualification yourself there. If the numbers are that high and if there's an easy show out there that you think exists, step on up.
Well, the other thing is with this year, there was an extra 2 months to qualify, and it never happened before because of the date of the Olympia.
Sure.
So when you take that into effect, in those 2 months, there's a lot of contests.
And that's math. That's just simple math. I run a ton of business back home. Math is a very important tool in my toolbox. It's a 14-month season, like I said, and that's a big reason why I really wanted to be a part of this year's Olympia, for all the obvious reasons aside, to be in what I deem is probably going to be the biggest lineup ever. Of course, it is currently, but I don't really see it ever being beaten. There's never, I don't never say never, but I highly doubt there's going to be a situation where these circumstances present themselves again, meaning a 14-month gap between the Olympia. Now it's going to inch back, and again, I don't know any information, but I would imagine the Olympia is not going to be December 18th and 23. Even if it's the first weekend of December or the middle of November or the end of October, where it's going to eventually inch back towards its original time of year, which is normally right around 9/11, I know, or in September sometime. So there will never be this amount of time to qualify. Like the show that I run, Legion, the guy, and it's alphabetical order, I think I'm going to be right next to him, ironically enough. The guy that won Legion in 21 is qualified for the show. So there's 2 Legion Sports Fest winners in this year's Olympia.
Yeah, there's several contests where people won it, say in 2021. Sure. And they fell into the timeline for this.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's cool. I think it will be, like I said, just ironically enough, George Herrera is the guy that I'm referencing right now who won Legion last year. My last name being Hallenbeck. I have a feeling we're going to be very close to each other in that initial. So you have 2 Legion winners right next to each other, battling out on the biggest stage of bodybuilding. And you know me, Jane, I couldn't be more excited and just honored to be a part of this competition. It's called a tournament, but this competition is, I almost feel like it is kind of like a tournament this year, though. With the numbers being so big, and we were talking off camera, it's no secret. His son Tyler has a wrestling background, and a lot of my best buddies were wrestlers, high school, collegiately, and I just feel like the amount of competitors in this lineup, in mixed physique and bikini and classic, I think there's 60 or more in all 3 of those divisions. I know in figure there's 40. I know in open base bodybuilding there's 36 or 37 or 39, I think, with the the points.
Yeah, now you think that people don't get out of the point system.
Exactly, which I'm a big fan of. To be honest, I thought that's how I was going to get my way to the Olympia this year with the points. I accrued a good amount of points last year. I did 3 shows after the Olympia, and then I was planning on doing 3 shows this year. And I thought that with my points last year, I could just jump right in and get the same amount of points this year. I got 11 points in 3 shows last year. The first 2 shows I did this year, I had 1. So that just goes to show you, from year to year, show to show, like we were talking. Legion, the guys that I beat in Legion, 3 or 4 or 5 of them had beat me in San Antonio 2 weeks prior. So, any given Sunday, they say in the NFL, any given Saturday night in bodybuilding, Legion happened to be on a Sunday. But
it also goes to show it's the best physique on the stage on that day. It doesn't go by where you were 2 weeks ago, a week before, or a year before. It's true what you look like on that day.
Sure, I agree 100%. And I I can see them right now, some small differences in my physique from show to show. A lot of it was in my presentation. I got hooked up with an opposing coach who was really good at saving grace this year and has helped me pose more classic.
That coach is
Gary Cheney. Gary Cheney is he's the head trainer out of a gym back home that a lot of people will know the gym owner's name. A very highly respected bodybuilder in the 90s by the name of Dean Caputo, who has become a good friend of mine and my girlfriend's. Just the opportunities to hear his stories have been awesome, and it's something I look forward to doing a lot more. His gym's about 45 minutes from where I live in Cleveland. So I'll be honest, I didn't get there as often as I wanted to in the past, but now that I've got hooked up with Gary, I'm going out there much more frequently, and just to have a resource like Dean in my area is huge. Dean is highly respected by everybody in the industry that I've come into contact with, and having Gary's guidance, helping me present my physique in a classic way. I admit I was stubborn. I had a good buddy of mine who actually just won. Shout out to Anthony Barbera. He just won Tim Garner's show, the Atlantic Coast Pro Show that was just last weekend or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, the last qualifying show of the year for the Olympia. And he told me numerous times leading into this year, we'll send each other our pictures. He coached himself for a while, so he'd send me his pictures and get that feedback, and I'd send him mine. And he said, Jeff, your physique is incredible. You look incredible. But I highly suggest you change some of your presentation to suit the classic division. I was like, I'm a bodybuilder. I want to present myself as a bodybuilder, and I think I look better like this, blah, blah, blah. He was right. I admit, Anthony, you were right. I was wrong. I changed my posing, and that is what drastically changed my placings from Savannah to San Antonio onto Legion. And you have to meet the criteria you're in. It's important that you meet the criteria in the division that you're competing in. And yes, it's bodybuilding. Classic physique, as we just talked about, it is bodybuilding. You hit a lot of the same poses, but there are some variations that we can all throw in there. The angles, the hip, the different variations that we can hit that I have finally embraced, and it's paid off. So let's see. I got, of course, please. Get some water drinks. I'll take advantage of it too.
I swear I held a sneeze back here, and now it's not here. I'm just sitting here like.
Got to rough. I've never been able to hold a sneeze. Some people sneeze really quietly,
Yeah.
I don't have that capability.
Okay, we'll just get this off.
Well, my eyes are hard. I'm gonna switch sides.
We're centered in here. Can you look? Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I use the arms. It's just a little bit more on this side, but otherwise.
All right. So Jeff, how do you feel? I know you haven't competed in the Olympia before, and it's been in Florida last year. How do you feel about being back in Vegas this year? Kind of like Vegas is always associated with kind of like the home of the Olympia.
Sure. Judging by the smile on my face, I'm excited. That's another reason, like I said earlier, there's a lot of obvious reasons that I wanted to be in the Olympia this year. That's one of them at the top, is the fact that it's in Las Vegas on the Strip. Not to mention, it is pickled between the Venetian and Planet Hollywood. The Venetian is me and my girlfriend's favorite hotel in Las Vegas. We went there last year in May for 5 or 6 nights, and anyone who stayed at the Venetian or been through the Venetian knows it's just absolutely gorgeous. And the fact that they were able to, get that venue for the prejudging, for the expo is something that I'm super excited about. It's no secret there's been some rumors that may or may not be in Vegas next year. Nobody knows yet. I know I wanted to go after it hard this year to take advantage of it. Being in Vegas, for sure. We know it's there this year for sure. So being a part of it is, like I said, there's so many reasons why it is so special to be a part of this year's Olympia. The location, the size of the lineups. I love the time of the year that it's in. It may not be the most convenient for some people, and I understand that, but I love it. I think it's great. I love that it's at the end of the year, right before Christmas. I can't think of a better way to end 2022,
All right. So is there anybody you want to give a shout out to over here?
First, I definitely have to thank and shout out my coach. Dominic Cardone and I have been together pretty much my whole career. I did start with a guy in my area, DJ from Upgraded Industries, who I owe a big thank you to as well. He's the one that got me in the sport, coached me for my first 4 or 5 shows. We won every show we ever did together. Then I moved on to Dominic Cardone in 2018. We have done 8 shows together. The first one being North Americans in 2018. We did bodybuilding and classic. We were first call-outs in both. Then we did USA's in 2019 and won the middleweight title. And now since then, we've done 6 pro shows. Kentucky Muscle last year, Legion twice, a couple Tim Gardner shows. And we have been fortunate enough to be in the first call-outs in every single show that we've done. To me, that's impressive. To me, that shows consistency. That shows, at this level, the NPC national bodybuilding level, and now the Pro League Open Classic level, the competition is brutal. And to be in the first call-out 8 out of 8 times is extremely impressive to me, and that speaks to how good my coach is. Hopefully it speaks a little bit to my work ethic and my adherence to his plan. Coaches can write a plan all day long, but if the athlete doesn't execute it, it doesn't mean anything. And, Dominic he's been a perfect coach for me. It's no secret I'm excited. I'm a talkative, excited guy. I get loud. Dom is the opposite of that. He's very chill. He's very calm, but he's very intelligent. He knows the sport through and through. He's been a part of this since he was 15 years old. And, I have been a prep bodybuilder. I will admit the last 4 years I have not used Cardone year round until now. I've already signed up with him. I told him, you're stuck with me in the next 5 to 7, 8 years where I'm not ever getting off of your roster, so to speak. So I've already committed to a full off season after the Olympia this year. The progress that we've made the last 4 years, I've done my own thing in the off season. It's not like I just stop training or stop eating or whatever, but I do come off supplements for an extended period of time after the season. I have a 14-year-old daughter at home that is my whole world. I run a construction business back home. So bodybuilding is a hobby for me. It's not my career. But now that I'm reaching the levels that I'm at and the goals that I have ahead of me, those all require me to be coached by Dom year round. So I'm very excited to see what we can do the next couple of years working together year round. And second or third, I have to thank my girlfriend Carissa, who is here with me right now. She has, now I'll get emotional on me. She's been the biggest support system that I've ever had in my entire life, times 10. She has been by my side at every pro show I've ever done. We've been together a year and a half, year and 3/4 now. And, she's traveled with me to every show that I've done. She has been backstage with me. She has prepped my food for me. She's helped me with my posing. She's helped me with my training. She's helped me with just continuing to put in the work when I get exhausted. We get tired the last 2 weeks of prep, and you need someone. I've done it both ways. I've done it, with a girlfriend that didn't support me very much. I've done it as a single guy, and I've done it now with Carissa the last my whole pro career has been with her, and she's been definitely my rock. I would not be where I am without her or Don Cardone. And last but not least, my posing coach, Gary Cheney. Gary has been the missing final piece to my team. I don't even feel right saying that, but hey, we are all part of the team. They're not my team, it's our team, and I'm the athlete. The head coach is Don Cardone, the girlfriend is my supporter, and Gary has become my lifelong posing coach. I've worked with some great posing coaches in the past, so no disrespect to anybody. I'm a huge fan of Kenny Wallach. I think Kenny Wallach is my second favorite person in the industry next to JM. Kenny is like JM in the fact that and like myself, he's always smiling, he's always talking, he's always excited as hell to be at these shows. And he's got hundreds of pro cards, dozens of Olympians, and he is still just as excited to be at the North Americans, the Nationals, or any of these. Doesn't matter what show you're at. He's like me right now. He's like a kid on Christmas. And so anyways, Kenny's been great in the past. I love Kenny to death. Like I said, having Gary Cheney in my area to help me develop some of these classic, angles and hips, and just working that style has been, like I said, he's the missing link. So now I feel like I have a full team together. And Gary and I just hooked up 6-8 weeks ago. After San Antonio, or right around San Antonio, we got together. He helped me for Legion, helped me clinch the win, and now we're helping with the Olympia. He will be in Vegas with me and Carissa for the Olympia. My coach Don lives in Vegas, so to be out there for a full week, the whole peak week of the Olympia with my whole team is going to be something special. So we're coming to. We're not coming to just participate. When I got to qualification 6-8 weeks ago, I'll be honest, I was just excited. I just wanted to participate. I know I'm not a top 10 Olympian yet, but I also know bringing the best Jeff Hallenbeck to the stage in 3.5 weeks, I'm going to beat as many guys as I possibly can. I can tell you that. And I mean, no disrespect. I respect every guy in that lineup. They're all there for a reason. They've all won shows, even the guys that are points or whatever. I know like Tommy Clark, for example. Tommy Clark is going in on points. He's been second place like 5 or 6 times. Any given show he could have won. So all I call him Tommy 10 times. Tommy 10. Tommy's got the same physique. He was at my pro debut in Kentucky last year. Peter Walmart was there, so we kind of all knew we were battling for second. And Tommy is someone that I've respected since that day. I still do. I just watched him compete last weekend in Florida with my buddy Anthony, and they were wanting to. Ironically enough. My point is from Chris Bumstead to the 66th guy in the show, we're all there for a reason. We've all earned our way there, and with all due respect, I'm coming to be as many of them as I possibly can. So that's my plan.
So one thing we touched on off camera, you were speaking with my father, you said about the large class. Well, you said you're going to be the largest Olympia at this point, but also your class when you won the USA, how many guys were in that?
Well, the USA's, there was 20 some guys, but the story that you're referencing was North America.
Oh, North America.
Yeah, North Americans in 2018. I did the middleweight division, which again, there was 20 some guys, but the classic physique B class was 50 some guys, 54, 55. If you look at the list of that show, I would almost guarantee there's probably a dozen guys in that class now that are professionals. So again, I don't know if it's the biggest class ever in the NPC Classic Physique division. I do know if it's not, it's one of them for sure. So to be a part of that was special, and now to be a part of the biggest Olympia to date ever. And like I said, in my opinion, I don't see these numbers ever being beaten in the future, ever. So to be a part of this Olympia is something special, So very excited about that.
All right. So if you want to see Jeff at the Olympia, make sure you go to MrOlympia.com, buy your tickets, get your hotel reservations, and if for some reason you can't be there, get the pay-per-view, right?
Absolutely. I am starting to post a pay-per-view on my social media. I'm not the biggest social media user, but like we talked earlier, it's something that's very valuable and important in our world. And this is an Olympia nobody's going to want to miss. I mean, if I wasn't there as a competitor, you know, we were most likely going to stay home if it be so close to the holidays and we traveled so much this year. But you know, the pay-per-view is a must. I have my aunts and uncles, my sister, friends, my mom. My mom's already purchased it. You know, it's a pay-per-view that's going to be worth, you know, they say worth the price of admission. It's going to be worth double. Whatever the fee is, it's going to be worth double. And I'm excited that I heard a rumor Phil Heath is going to be part of the.
He's supposed to be the commentator.
Part of the commentating. Yeah, that's exciting. That's very exciting. It is exciting. I know he did a little bit of commentary work, I think, on the Boston Pro, if I'm not mistaken, earlier this year. And Phil Heath is someone that you know, I'm anxious to play back and you know, hear some of his commentary during the show. So you do not want to miss this one, that's for sure. You're correct.
Yeah. One last thing, we didn't plan to wear the same pants. We just had them on. Just the
It's happened to work out.
you know, it's not lying down, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right. So JM
And Jeff Hallenbeck.
signing off for NPC is online. We look forward to seeing you soon.